I appreciate you taking the time, to say the least. Long time fan of your band, and being from Long Island, you have that extra level of love for Dream Theater, to say the least. But let's talk about the new album first and foremost. First album that was made in Dream Theater headquarters. Was that easier or harder to have all that extra time and resources right there?
It actually made it a lot easier. It was great to have our own space. We just finally decided not that long ago to kind of consolidate everything into one headquarters. And it's been working out really well. Luckily our techs and, people that work for us are also very handy, in addition to being great with, all the gear we use. And, they were able to kind of configure this space. So it really is wonderful for us. So we have a live room, we have a control room. It's all, place to store our gear. And then we don't have the pressure of having anybody over our heads telling us, oh, well, we have another client coming in, or, anything like that. I mean, we've actually been lucky with the last two records that we've done. Distance Over Time was also done in a very beautiful spot. It wasn't our own, but it was done at a barn that was really nice with big windows, and we all set up, and it was a lot of room. We all kind of camped out. That was cool. But now, we're in our own space, and of course that's got a different vibe, and it's very productive, just a good experience on many, almost all levels, shall I say. And I think we got the results we needed.
The gold standards, I think, for home studios kind of started with the Zappas and with 5150. And when you read into the albums that Van Halen made at 5150, they sound amazing, but you find out that they painstakingly went over everything again and again and again, and things actually took longer because they were not on the clock per se. Are you the kind of person that likes having that clock or deadline, or do you like, hey, we can try this sound in this patch instead?
Well, that's a good question. I mean, I think that I'm the kind of person who likes to know that something needs to be delivered by a certain point. Like, okay, like we're going to do this project, and it kind of, your part has to be done in March, and then we're going to go to something else. So to have some kind of cutoff is, I think, always good, just so you have an awareness of time. But at the same time, so we also, we found the perfect balance. We set it up ourselves, basically. We have to deliver a record at a certain point, but we set up our schedule ourselves. And then it just is a different feeling when you're just kind of organizing it all, and you're not in somebody else's space under somebody else's watch, even though you still have, trying to keep on schedule, because that's what, productive people do. I mean, we have our headquarters, we've got a big chart, and it says keyboards, vocals, bass, guitar, drums, and check marks for when songs are written and mixed and this and that and tracked, and every element of it we kind of keep track of, and it's really organized. But in addition to that, we also have our own space, and we're just doing our thing. So there is a level of, with the keyboard parts, that Moog thing sounds good, but let's go over there and try it on the Hammond, and experimentation. That was a big part of my experience, even on this album, trying to find just the exact sound that we wanted. We didn't, we're not really a band that settles on anything, oh, it's okay. It's not about that at all. Every track, every sound has to really be that's the shit. That's it. That's the part. It's played just the way I want it. It's got the perfect sound. Okay, let's move on now. So that's always been our way. It was a little easier to kind of almost do it this way, given our own, our own environment.
Totally get what you're saying with all that. Did you know outright, hey, we want this in New York? I know that Dream Theater's roots are New York per se, but my experience is that you reach a certain age as a New Yorker and you go, I'm done with New York. And then you get away from New York, and then you go, I miss New York, and you kind of come back to New York per se, but it hasn't gotten cheaper over the years. I know a lot of bands who have put a headquarters thing happening in New York, like the Irish band Ash, of all places. They're in New York for their studio and their headquarters.
Well, yeah, I mean, the whole goal was to find someplace that was, affordable, had what we needed, and also not that far from, so we could all get there, and it needed to be, mostly kind of convenient for John Petrucci, who is, we're all there a lot, but he's there the most because he was producing these albums. So he can't be going to Acapulco,
Well, he can, but
he wants to live at, he wants to be at home when he's, and have that option. So yeah, I mean, that said, I wouldn't mind recording the next album like on a mountaintop in Hawaii or something like that. But that could be a nice change of pace. But for now, we're in New York.
Ultimately, is this studio open to other bands if they're legit bands, or is it just Dream Theater and Dream Theater side projects?
It's Dream Theater's headquarters. I've heard talk of maybe like the idea of allowing it to have other people in there. I don't know if we've actually done that yet. We might have had somebody else in there. It's possible, but it's mostly our space. It's not meant to be like, a studio that somebody else can rent or whatever. It's a facility that houses our world. It's got our gear in it and studios and, place to have meetings. And it's kind of like,
the Foo Fighters have the 606 compound. Dream Theater has these headquarters. Totally get it. So back to the album though, View from the Top of the World. Did you have the title outright, or was the title one of the last things to come to the table?
No, John Petrucci emerged with that title one day. It's actually while I was doing keyboard tracks. I remember he came down he was up in our loft space and he was writing words and he was like, oh man, I got the inspiration for this. I just wonder if you guys will like it, and so he kind of bounced it off me. And I said, John, that's a great title. It's so prog and perfect.
So prog.
No, it's perfect, like awesome. When you nail it, you nail it. And he's pretty good at doing that. So we were all like, yes, man, that's great. Let's do it. So,
do you have a favorite song on the album?
That's a great question. It changes daily. I just, I love all the albums we do. They're all like my children, and I think we all feel that way. But there is something really special about this one for, I guess, various reasons. And every day I kind of like change my mind. I can't say that this is a favorite because I really, really do like equally almost all of them. It's crazy, but it's true. A lot of, I'm drawn to something like the title track, the epic track, because I like, things, I like epic, longer form type music, and it gives us a chance to spread out. And, it uses a lot of my really intense symphonic sounds, and I get to use my iPad and my app GeoShred, playing a really pretty cello sound in the middle of the song. And, I'm kind of like, maybe that could be my favorite.
Well, that all kind of ties in with, hey, Wisdom Music, you've been a software guy, you've been ahead of the curve, in my humble opinion, where you're not just the keyboard player in a band. Mm-hmm. You've always been up on gear. From day one, were you into gear, or is this a later in life kind of thing for you?
Well, all right. So I started out as a classical pianist when I was very young. I started at 7 years old. I went to Juilliard, to the pre-college division. When I was 19, I left Juilliard, and then I discovered the Mini Moog, at which point I started to get into like synthesizers. And, at some point I got a gig working for Korg and then Kurzweil. And I started my relationship with some of the manufacturing side of like what was going on, and deeper into like gear on that level. And then what really changed my life is that when the iPhones first came out and I put my hand on the touch surface, like kind of like this, I was like, oh my God, I started to get a real inspiration for like what I could do, like by just touching the surface and how I could control music. And I thought, wow, each finger could have its like own like individual kind of like expression on the surface. And when I started with the iPhone, there was nothing really out. It was the beginnings maybe of the store. There was no real music apps, maybe a few, Right. So called up one of the programmer guys I knew. I said, hey, I got an idea for something to do with touch surfaces. And he was like, yeah, that sounds really cool. Let's do it. And that year we came out with an application called MorphWiz, which won the Billboard Best Music App of the Year. It was like 12 years ago or something like that. And it was a big deal because, it like gave a lot of attention to me and my crazy ideas. And from that point, it kind of accelerated my involvement in that, in like creating, inventing new kinds of instruments. And also it got my name out so I could start working with other people. And then I also started relationships with various like people who were doing interesting hardware, like cutting edge stuff. Like you've seen me play the Continuum,
Yes.
which is built by Lippold Hawken, and I worked with him on, ideas for that. And then I was very involved with the people from Roly, who make the Roly Seaboard, and kind of contributed, consultation for that instrument. And at the same time, continuing my Wisdom Music adventures. I have 3 new music apps coming out leading into 2022. Actually, the first one is going to be called Polywave. It's coming out on my birthday, which is November 4th. Okay. I'm really excited about it. I've been working really hard on these music apps, especially since I've been home more than usual.
Yes.
And so yeah, there's literally 3 that are coming out. The first one is Polywave, which is a new application that I designed with a French company called FingerLab. And briefly, it has to do with putting like waveforms together. So when you press a note on your playing surface or on your keyboard, it strings together all these sounds. So it's like a continuous kind of like flowing, evolving sound. And it's going to be really exciting to get out there. I told the guy I want to release it on my birthday because we're going to release it around then anyway. So on November 4th, expect that something cool will come out of my world. And then after that, I have 2 more that I've been working on that are really, really exciting. So,
and who knows which album we'll see you guest on as well. You've always been a workhorse, to your credit.
Yeah, I keep busy. Definitely keep busy. It's been a busy period of time for sure.
But early into that response, you said Moog. You've always said Moog and not Moog.
It's Moog, yeah.
Okay, I agree with you right there.
Not even agree. It is. I know some people are debating, but just to set the record straight.
But there was the hockey goalie Andy Moog.
Whereas
there was Robert Moog. So people go, is the hockey guy right, or is the keyboard inventor right?
Right. Moog. Of course, it's the keyboard guy. That's right.
So there you go. And is Wikipedia correct that you were born in Great Neck?
No.
Okay.
I lived there. I was born in the first place I lived was in Queens. But I moved to Great Neck when I was 7.
Okay. So Great Neck, Long Island gave the world Andy Kaufman.
Right.
How?
Whose mother was a friend of my mother's.
Okay, so I wanted to get into how Great Neck oriented you were, because Great Neck had that element to the comedy world. Alan King lived there, and Walter Yetnikov, I know, was living there at the peak of his Sony presidency and all that. Mm-hmm. Did that give you kind of hope growing up in Great Neck of, oh, wow, entertainment people are around, or was that off your radar growing up?
No, I knew exactly who Alan King was. I knew about his sons. I knew where they lived. As I said, my mom was friends with Andy Kaufman's mother as well. And I was just busy in my world. I was going to Juilliard. Like I was kind of like a, young, like an entertainer almost. I was even, I was doing some professional things even then. But yeah, I don't know. I had an awareness of it all, let's just say.
And then my town, Long Beach, your old drummer hailed from here. I like to ask people if they had history with Long Beach, because I find that everyone had gigs here, but it's not super documented per se. In your case, did you have early gigs here? Did Dream Theater play Malibu or anything like that?
Well, when I joined Dream Theater, already their career was not playing like local places. Like we didn't play. I think they might have played in Long Beach before I joined the band, but when I joined, that was the Majesty era. Wasn't the case. And I didn't really start to play like rock gigs until much later, because I was a classical musician, for my whole childhood, and then I had moved out.
And then another thing that I've heard about Dream Theater, I've heard that half the band was rooted in Kiss and Van Halen, and the other hand does not love Kiss and Van Halen. Is that true?
Okay. That's a funny question. I never heard that before, and I never really spoke to the guys about Kiss. I imagine that Mike Portnoy, being the rock, kind of like icon that he is into all things,
Yeah.
he probably knows and appreciates all things about Kiss. I'm sure he does, just knowing him. I don't think there's anybody else that, I mean, maybe when Derek Sherinian was in the band years ago, he might have been like into Kiss and all that stuff. But I'm sure like, I just never spoke to like John Mayung or John Petrucci or James Labrie about Kiss, so Van Halen, well, of course, I mean, how could you can't, everybody loves Van Halen, and that guitar and the guitar playing was a huge influence on John Petrucci and all of that. I hear more, people asking about Rush and stuff like that, or Iron Maiden or Metallica, or Yes, but not so often about Kiss or Van Halen. So that's interesting.
And last year, I had the pleasure of interviewing James's son, Chance, who's a great musician in his own right, who's doing very well. Are there any other second generation Dream Theater people in the works that we should be keeping an eye out for?
Well, I know John Petrucci's son is a musician as well. And he's doing like a different kind of a style. It's like a really mellow, kind of spacey or organic type of rock, very different than Dream Theater, but it's very good. He's talented. And his daughters are in the they're actresses. Mike Mangini's kids are very, very young. Of course, Mike Portnoy's son Max is an incredible drummer, and he's with Code Orange right now. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely the family things going on. I don't think John Mayung's kids are doing any music stuff, and mine I have two daughters, and they're not in music. So
not everyone was scared off from their parents' profession.
No,
so that's a great thing.
I mean, Max is having a great career. I mean, he's really stepping it up there.
And then my last question for you has nothing to do with A View from the Top of the World, plug. It is, what's a TV show that we should be watching if someone needs a new show to start? Do you have a recommendation?
Well, I just watched, what was it? 9 Perfect Strangers. Have you seen that?
I know it's a great one with Melissa McCarthy. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a cool show. Very cool. And actually, I'm a little late coming to the game, but I've been watching The Morning Show.
Sure.
Jennifer Aniston. What a great show. Oh my God. Like when I watched the first season and it ended, I was just thinking, it's incredible if it can bring you on this kind of journey. Like you're watching a television show and it totally absorbs you. And I'm not somebody actually who watches historically a lot of TV, but just the last, like let's say 3 or 4 months, I've been kind of like, I don't know, like with my wife getting into some different shows, and yeah, there's incredible stuff out there.
I can't thank you enough for your time and making this happen. Thank you for the many years of great music, and hope there's a Long Island gig in the very near future.
I hope so. Very cool. Well, thank you for your time as well.
Paltrocast.